Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto, or welcome to the channel if you're new, and I hope you're having a great weekend. And welcome to this Solana video this Sunday. Wanted to do a full video here on the situation for Solana yesterday, or at least after I made my last video, which I think was on Friday morning. Friday we had already dropped back down into this previous range we had, which it's up for debate a little bit where the range is, but at least the value area of the previous ranging price action was between 132 and 122. Personally, I would say it's a little bit more stretched, but all right. But we had already dropped back down into that range right here, as you can see, Friday the 28th. And what we said is that it looks like a real reclaim back into that range. There was a lot of volume. The market in general was moving in that direction. So back then we already said, well, it's most likely we're going to drop down into the POC right here at 127 and potentially into the value area low, which we almost have hit. We've hit the support level between 122.5 and 125, which is kind of that range low here. It's very rough, of course. It's a very big level, but ultimately that's a range low. So we dropped down into that, and we've had a lot of bearish pressure also in the weekend, which is usually, especially on a Saturday, that's not something you see. So what that means is that there are a lot of imbalances to the upside. That's positive because usually the price fills those imbalances. So that is something that could push the price up. But then again, and that's kind of the balance we have to find with Solana right now. Then again, all the price action we've had so far, the volume was quite high, right? So this is largely real price action, right? It's buyers and sellers agreeing that Solana should be back into this range. And that's obviously not positive because we broke out of that last week on Monday. But we'll talk about that. Now, fundamentally, Solana is relatively stable here. I mean, you can see the DEX trading volumes are stable. TVL is also stable right here, so there's not much we can say about that. Ultimately, look, what I do think is that, and I've said this before, but for those of you who have not seen that, I briefly wanted to say it again. The fundamentals for Solana right now, if you take a look at them like this, it looks very bearish, right? Because the TVL, DEX trading volumes, and a lot of these metrics have dropped down significantly over the last couple of months. But I do want you to know that these numbers are still higher than they were when Solana was last at this level at 125, right? So if we're purely going off of the fundamentals, I would actually say that Solana deserves to bounce from here, but all right. So that's kind of the thing with the fundamentals. Fundamentals are interesting to look at, but they don't give you a full picture. But all right, talking about Solana right now. So what you can see, if you look at some TPOs and fair value gaps, is that we have left some weak highs right here at 130. And I believe if we go to the 1 hour time frame, we can also see some single prints. It might take some time. Yeah, there's just a major imbalance here to the upside at 134, 136. There's some minor imbalances here to the upside at 132, but that's easier to reach than 136 because the biggest imbalance we actually made on Friday, right? So Friday when we had that bearish pressure here, we dropped down a lot with quite a lot of volume, but ultimately there was never any retest and never any. Really any agreement between buyers and sellers, or at least if you follow auction market theory. So getting in there, I'm not sure if we can do that, all right? It seems like the market right now is bouncing up and Bitcoin has an imbalance a little bit higher here, which it can fill. So I think what we're seeing right now is that Bitcoin is pulling up Solana with it. The entire market is very correlated. But ultimately, if we... given Solana is not necessarily very strong right here. There's no real momentum coming into Solana specifically. There's fundamentally no real reason to be bullish on Solana. So what I would say if we're taking a look at the price here is that I think it's most likely we'll fill some of those minor imbalances to the upside at 132, 130, 131. But ultimately, I do think we will respect that resistance. That's the only logical thing after all the price action we've had in the last 2 days. All right, and that from there we will drop back down and just stay in this range. And I think the only way in which we can actually fill those imbalances higher and in which we could potentially also break out like this, the only way we could do that, I think, is if we actually get some bullish fundamental data, right? So basically if Bitcoin breaks out, all right, because Solana, like I said, at this point of time, has no specific momentum. So if it wants to do something like this again, which, like I said, given the fundamentals, it is a possibility, given the metrics at least. But given the technical strength here, that's only possible if Bitcoin also breaks out, and that's only possible if we get some bullish macroeconomic, macro financial data. So yeah, for now, I'd say this is most likely. If you do have any questions, and by the way, I mean, it's going to be quite tough to actually reach up there, so maybe something like this. But those are my thoughts. If you do have any questions, let me know down in the comments. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care. Have a great Sunday, and bye.